In this video, we're going to cover my anime journey starting all the way back with Dragon Ball Z Kai to what I'm watching right now. So this thing is a decade long of anime, a decade long of me being an absolute nerd. But it sounds like you're a nerd too, because you clicked on the video. So let's compare and contrast our little anime journeys. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Also, let's be real, you can see my sub count. I'm a tiny little guy. I'm a tiny little channel. So honestly, all I'm trying to do here is connect, maybe get some recommendations, hear about your anime journey as well. So feel free to leave a comment and tell me where we're similar, where we're different, and what I need to watch next. I hope you guys enjoy, and we have to start at the beginning. How does a perfectly reasonable person like you or I end up disappointing our parents and liking anime? Dragon Ball Z, baby. It all started with the Frieza saga. I saw so many reruns of Goku just trying to get to Namek that this dude was hyped up so insanely in my brain that I don't even know if Goku has much of a character in Dragon Ball Z. He's just kind of dead or training, but boy is he badass when he actually has to throw hands. I started with Dragon Ball Z Kai, of course, not Dragon Ball Z, because I am old, but I'm not that old. No offense to anyone that started with Z, I just started with Kai. But one thing about Kai is the Frieza buildup was insane, and then the Android arc was mind-blowing. Literally, there is so many twists and turns throughout this arc. And as an adult that's watched a video essay or two, because again, I am a nerd, you hear stories about Toriyama, the author, who just passed away, actually very sad, but the author just writing by the seat of his pants, just kind of making things up as he went. And it turned out the best possible way during the Cell Saga because the twists and turns are just insane. But there was one huge downside to being a fan of Dragon Ball Z Kai when I was growing up, and that's the fact that it ends at Cell. The Cell Saga ends, Gohan becomes all-time champ, Goku dies, spoilers, sorry, and then there's nothing after that. You think that's the end. I was, maybe 12 or something, and the Buu Saga, GT, all that stuff just became like a myth to me. People talked about in Z, they don't really like the Buu Saga. To me, it was the missing book of the Bible. It was just impossible to find. It was Z, but it wasn't Z Kai, and I only had access to Z Kai. It was the origin of me looking stuff up online, just trying to find it instead of like finding it through cable, just so I could watch the Buu Saga and see what the heck all that is about. But of course, Dragon Ball Z Kai and Dragon Ball Z have some different voice actors, or at least different deliveries. So it was just a weird time to be alive, weird time to be a Dragon Ball fan as a wee lad. But eventually, Dragon Ball Z Kai did adapt the Buu Saga. I believe they called it the final chapters. And I don't know if I've ever watched that version, to be honest. I think I just watched the Z version, so. Also, kind of a funny story. My first girlfriend ever, I made her watch Dragon Ball Z with me, because girlfriends are meant to watch anime with. That's just a fact. And so I made her watch Dragon Ball Z with me. We got all the way up to the Frieza fight on Namek. Goku goes Super Saiyan. And it is like so cool. I'm so happy my girlfriend is watching. We're having a good time. He goes Super Saiyan. We get the cliffhanger. And she looks at me. She's like, all right, time to cuddle or whatever. And I'm looking at her like, are you crazy? Goku is about to go off. This is what this is all about. And you're trying to cut it off now? Have you been lying? Do you even like this show that we got 100 episodes into? The second anime on my journey, which does not help me seem any less basic, is Deathnote. And I do have to admit, again, not very proud of this. I actually saw the Smosh Deathnote in real life video before I saw the show Deathnote. Just goes to show my age range at the time, and that I'm a nerd, once again. Maybe that's the theme of the video, I don't know. I'm not a writer. Okay, I'm assuming you've seen this one because it's one of the most popular anime ever, and I have a couple funny stories with it. One, I actually dated a girl, and instead of trying to show it to her, like with Dragon Ball Z, I brought it up to her, and her last boyfriend had already watched it with her, which is like the biggest knife to the chest. You watched this anime, my nerdy thing, with another guy? That's messed up. I don't think I can date you anymore. Not really, but that was a hit. That was a heavy hit. The cat and mouse game between Light Yagami and L is iconic. No one can deny that. And the beginning half of the show is so good and so enthralling, and I almost want to watch it right now. It's been a little bit, and I know it's a great show. The second half, however, isn't my favorite. It's not bad. I really just don't like the ending. I don't like how Nier beats Light, although thematically I think it works. I actually even recently made a video about Light and how he got really arrogant and how he thought he was clever and can outwit everybody. And of course his downfall is he's gonna find himself in a trap because he thinks he's smarter than everyone else, when in reality he just, well, he is pretty smart, but he's not a god like he says he is. But what's important about Deathnote is you can get away with watching Dragon Ball Z. It's a whole bunch of buff dudes punching aliens in the face. There's cool transformations. I was young. I didn't know any better. Watching Deathnote is like signing your life away. Like, yep, I'm committed to this. I'm gonna watch anime from here on out. And I really enjoyed it. Also, I think we can talk about the movie for a second. I remember watching so many videos about people being so upset about the Deathnote movie, which honestly, that rocked. I love that content. I loved people hating on it because, yeah, it kind of sucked. They changed the main characters so completely, and it's just crazy to think someone taking someone else's work and just absolutely ruining it by changing the main character. Like how can you have the themes of the show if the character is completely different that is supposed to embody those themes? And if you want to tell a story with different themes, tell a different story, buddy. Full Metal Alchemist. I love this show. A lot of people say it is the best anime of all time, or at least I've heard that. I don't know if you've heard that. I have, though. And I gotta admit, it's pretty dang good. It's an anime that I need to watch again. I've already watched it twice, and guess what? There's two versions of this show. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. There's two versions of this show. I've seen both of them. I've seen Brotherhood twice, and I need to rewatch it. Again, it is absolutely insane. Taking it away from the anime, talking about my personal life once again, I really need to get over myself here. What I love most about this show is the time that I got to spend with my little brother, Brian, watching it. There's nothing better than watching a show about two brothers tackling on life and watching it with your little brother. I love that kid. And it was a great time experiencing the show, and without him, I wouldn't be here right now talking about stupid little anime stuff. Let's get into the merits of the show. One, it looks beautiful, it's very clean. They did an amazing job. Also, the gut-wrenching first couple episodes, literally the dog, the little girl, and just the absolute horror of the two brothers, Edward and Alphonse. It is Alphonse, isn't it? Why am I stressed? Why am I geeking over that? Yeah, it's Alphonse. I don't know why I second-guessed myself on that. Edward and Alphonse just trying to bring back their mother, and then what happens? Bro, best hook in all of anime. Way better than Attack on Titan. 10 times better than Demon Slayer. It is literally the best. And no offense to those shows. Attack on Titan is one of my favorites. A little sneak peek for later. But the Full Metal Alchemist failed human transmutation takes the cake for the craziest opening shenanigans. Now, the absolute coolest thing about this show, in my opinion, is the fact that there is a split timeline, dimensional rift, universes separated, and we got Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The fact that you can kind of start with the same story and get two endings is the most interesting idea I've ever heard in my life. And I know it happened because, bear with me, I believe it's because the manga wasn't caught up to the anime, so the anime just started making up their own stuff. But that is so cool, and I would love more stories that did that, even though it's kind of a messed up situation that how it happened, but I just love starting in the same place and then getting two endings. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I want more of it. And what's interesting about it is the original Fullmetal Alchemist, I believe my little brother watched that first and likes that better. And I watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I like that a lot better than the original anime timeline, I guess you would say, even though they're both really good in my opinion. So it's just interesting, and it definitely deserves a rewatch from me. I'm just trying to find the time with making videos, working, and school. But I will rewatch it soon. I'm itching, bro. I'm literally tweaking. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm just popping in to say I just finished doing all those little anime drawings that you've been seeing in the background of the video, and I'm excited for you to see that at the end, so stay tuned to see all of them together. Some of them are better than others. The guts one really stands out compared to everyone else. Oh, spoilers. I draw guts. Just want to pop in and say, if you are enjoying this, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment with your anime list, because I want to hear about you too. It's not just all about me. And please subscribe if you like what you see. I make more analytical video essay type videos. This one's a little bit more personal, but I just wanted to make something taking back the veil and talking about all the shows that I've seen. So thank you for watching. It really means the most. Shout out to you. Let's get back into it. It's a new day, and we get to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, this could be its own video by itself because every single part gets a new main character and storyline, which is just awesome. I remember being so confused and excited watching part one's last episode, what the hell is gonna happen next? And then part two came out, and I like that even better. And most people like part 3 and onward way better than 1 and 2, which I don't know if I'd go that far. I think 1 and 2 are their own little unique thing, and they're special and they're fun, and the accents alone, go back, watch part 1, watch part 2, listen to Caesar's accent, listen to Jonathan's accent. They're just fun. And when I got to part 3 and we lost the weird accents, I was kind of disappointed because I liked how bizarre they were. But of course, with part 3 and onward, we get the introduction of stands, which is a lot cooler than using Hamon, so I get why people like part 3 and onward way better. But there is still some merit to the first couple parts. Don't hate on those guys. They're still okay. Maybe I'm coping, I don't know. With JoJo's being such a long show with such different themes and characters and parts going on, I guess I'll say what my favorite part is, which definitely has to be part 4. I love the artistic color changes, which is always a thing in JoJo, but it felt more prominent in part 4. I love the characters. I love the small town thriller aspect of it. You get 3 JoJos in one. Granted, Joseph is getting really freaking old. And something I liked about part 4 is Josuke and our main cast of characters are a little bit more relatable. They got more personality going on, where Jotaro is just really cool and badass. And if you go back to Giorno in part 5, he feels really flat to me. So we get the badass aspects of Jotaro as a side character, which works really well. And then you can get Josuke to kind of add a little bit of flavor. And it's the last part where the characters are buff, and then they switch to the art style of part 5, and it kind of continues on to part 6. I think those art styles are still good, but I like them a little bit less than part 4, which I think is peak. And that's just my opinion, and you might disagree. Let me know. I think the only thing I could add to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is that I started watching it at the perfect time. For whatever reason, I was on Netflix and I was looking for a show to watch with my little brother, and we just saw JoJo's, didn't think anything of it, decided to watch it. We're like, alright, this is the weirdest show we've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, it became mega popular. Of course, it was always popular in Japan, and there was probably a fan base way before I saw it and it got to Netflix. But I would say before, like, I started seeing the memes, the YouTube videos, all that stuff, we like just started watching it. So it was like perfect timing for me to consume the Jojo's content. And I didn't even know what I was getting into when I started it up. It was when Dio killed Jonathan's dog, and then they also played rugby together. That's when I knew that this show was legendary. Next up, we have to go all the way back to Dragon Ball. This time, we rewatched Dragon Ball, we watched Dragon Ball GT, and eventually we watched Dragon Ball Super, which it's kind of crazy to think that Battle of Gods came out over 10 years ago. Let that sit for a second. How do you feel? Old, perhaps? Me too. All three of these are vastly different, but they all kind of just connect back to that Dragon Ball Z that I watched originally. I think the one that would be most interesting for me to talk about would be Dragon Ball Super. Originally, when I watched it, I was super disappointed. I think probably the most disappointed an anime has ever made me. There's just a distinctly different feel to Super than in Z, and I feel like the universe almost operates in a different way. The power scaling, the way characters relate to one another, the way they get stronger, it just feels different, and I don't really like it, especially when I first watched it. But recently I rewatched it and it was fine. If you watch it with no expectations, just hoping to see a little bit more Dragon Ball content, it's pretty good, because you do get a little bit more Dragon Ball content. You get Future Trunks arc, you get the Universe Tournament arc, and they're pretty good. I think my favorite thing to come out of all of Dragon Ball Super was probably Dragon Ball Super Broly. That movie was pretty dope. I loved the way it looked. It was action-packed, and it was a lot of fun. The show, on the other hand, still worth a watch. If you like Dragon Ball, you like the show, but there's a lot better shows out there, honestly. And if you like Dragon Ball Z, I do recommend you go back, you watch Dragon Ball. It is fun. It's like an adventure arc, and then a fighting arc, and then a little bit of an adventure arc, and then some more fighting arcs. It's definitely interesting, and you get a lot of more information on side characters that you normally wouldn't get if you've never seen Dragon Ball, so watch that. And then Dragon Ball GT is just like a fever dream with a lot of really cool aspects, but the beginning of the show, in my opinion, is kind of hard to watch. Goku turning into a kid and then having to be sent into space, going on a little adventure, isn't all that cool up until, you know, baby Android 17 comes back, and then of course the dragon arc.
Ironically, it was the terrible reception of the 2016 Berserk anime that first put it on my radar. I got so many video essays because negativity really sells on YouTube sometimes, so people were talking about how much they hated the 2016 anime and how good the 1997 anime was, also how good the original manga is. This intrigued me so much I started watching the show, and I absolutely loved it. There was something so addictive about it. I think any type of media that leaves off on a cliffhanger, leaving you wanting more, always like digs deep into my brain. And Berserk is like the master at that because it's been going on forever. The 1997 anime leaves off with the craziest cliffhanger ever, which is the eclipse. And then I've read the manga and I'm all caught up. And of course, the original author did pass away. So now there's kind of another cliffhanger in my mind about what's going to happen with the story from here on out. And is it going to be the same as if he was still alive writing it, which, you know, probably not. Also, it's important to mention that I've made countless videos on Berserk on this channel, and by countless I mean like probably 5, so you guys should check those out if you want to hear more about it. But I do think a thank you is in order, because without Berserk I wouldn't have made, you know, half of my videos, so clearly it's been very important and impressionable, and I love a good story about struggle and finding your path / finding love for the people around you. So Berserk gets 2 thumbs up from me. One Punch Man was such an interesting anime for me to watch, mainly because when I originally watched it, I saw so many comparisons to Dragon Ball Z because that was the main anime that I started with, and you kind of get the experience of someone that life is just boring because he's already stronger than everyone else. And it is really funny and interesting at times, and you get other characters that are weaker to kind of supplement the main character always wins. But the coolest thing about One Punch Man is looking back after seeing some animes that are going to be further down on this list, like Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunter x Hunter, that you can kind of see comparisons there a little bit better than even with something like Dragon Ball Z and Goku just being the strongest. I think like just the hero system, A rank, B rank, whatever, kind of fits more with something like Hunter x Hunter. So it's just cool seeing the different references, bits and pieces all put together in hindsight. I really like that. The one thing I don't like about the show is that it seems like it's been taking forever, and it really lost momentum for me. I really liked the first season, and then the second season I like barely remember. I guess one good thing is I could always rewatch it and I can get the experience for basically the first time again because I don't really remember it. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I just need more of it to come out, I think. Attack on Titan could be its own video by itself. This anime itself basically took a decade to come out, and I remember watching the first episode in Japanese at my friend's house before I was really into anime, thinking that it was kind of weird. And ironically, fast forward to its finale, I watched it in Japanese when I watched, the rest of it completely dubbed, but I just couldn't wait to get to the ending. And there were so many spoilers online, on Instagram, on TikTok. I just could not deal with it. I had to watch it pretty much right away. I think it's kind of fun that I watched the first episode in the Japanese subtitles, and then I watched the last episode in the Japanese subtitles. I think I'm saying that wrong. English subtitles, you know what I mean. I love that duality, that full circleness of it, especially because Attack on Titan's full story is full circle as well. Like I said, it could be its own video. Like, I literally grew up with this show, and I love the fact that the show lasted so long. I know some people don't like that. A lot of people just want an entire show to be out and then they can binge the whole thing. Me personally, I love the aspect of watching a season, reflecting, waiting, testing that patience, which is so important. Finally getting to the next season, getting a new perspective, seeing how the foreshadowing happened. I love it. I love it. So I was very happy with the way Attack on Titan was done, even though the fourth season being so many parts was a little frustrating. I will admit, I did lose a little bit of faith with the build-up to the finale, basically. Honestly, I didn't think it was that good. I was scared because the build-up really was not doing it for me up until the last hour-long special, and then I realized it was pretty fire. It was pretty good. The build-up had me worried, but it ended up all working out, and I actually really enjoy the conclusion. An Attack on Titan video by itself is for sure coming out soon. What I love the most about this show is that I was able to watch it with my little brother for one season, then watch it by myself for one season, then watch it with my roommates when I lived back home in Illinois, and then I was able to watch it with my girlfriend, and then I was able to watch it with my brother again, because it just took so long, and there were so many different seasons coming out over the last 10 years that I was able to experience it with so many different people at so many different times in my life. And that is an experience that no other anime will ever be able to reproduce. I was pretty late to the game with watching Naruto. Probably would have fit better when I was, younger, watching Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff, but I watched Naruto with my little brother over a couple years because it's so freaking long. But for whatever reason, Naruto is one of the animes that's made me feel the most emotions. The comedy really worked for me. Naruto being a sad, angry little boy at times really worked for me. I don't know why, but all the emotional peaks of the show worked super well. And I love the buildup of the show. Like, originally I just kind of liked it for the comedy, the feeling, the action, whatever, and then slowly it just ramps up to be this epic conclusion I love how they were able to bring back all the characters at the end, even dead characters, to be a part of the final conflict. Fan favorites like the Hokages and Itachi showing up. Just absolutely insane. I loved it. People say that the war arc kind of dragged on, but for me it was just more content. I did have to take a pretty substantial break in it because it's just so many episodes. I had to dedicate so much time and energy to watching it. Luckily, I really liked what I saw. Naruto, man, I loved it. I think my favorite character is probably Rock Lee. Something about him, like, Rock Lee is more Naruto than Naruto even is. Like, bro has no special attributes other than his hard work, determination, which unlocked, you know, some pretty epic combat abilities for Rock Lee, and I really like that. Where Naruto, kind of similar, but he also had the help of being connected to the Nine Tails, so cheating a little bit. His parents were strong shinobi as well, so cheating a little bit, where Rock Lee really had nothing. So I always loved that little guy. Love the Rock Lee vs. Gaara fight. Super insane, super memorable. Heck yeah. I will literally never be the same after watching Neon Genesis. And to be honest, the first time I watched it, I did not like it. I was so upset with Shinji, and I thought every decision he made was the wrong one. It was just depressing. I think I lost 5 charisma points just watching the show for the first time. However, it stuck with me. I could not get it out of my head. I wanted to absorb as much information as possible after I watched it. It just stuck with me for whatever reason. And I watched it with my little brother while I was home for Christmas one year, I believe. My initial thoughts was I hated it, but I was addicted to it. And it honestly made me kind of depressed. However, I will say I rewatched it. The whole thing spun around 180 degrees, and I saw it from a completely different perspective. And instead of it being depressing and upsetting and bothering me, it honestly kind of ended up feeling hopeful and beautiful, which is crazy that you can watch a show one time and get one destructive, terrible feeling from it, and then rewatch it with a new mindset at a new time in life and really get the exact opposite feelings from it. I love that, and there's something so beautiful about Neon Genesis that I can't even put into words. It's probably the anime that stuck with me the most. Whenever I am like low-key overwhelmed or stressed out, the scene of Shinji freaking out inside of his Evangelion plays in my mind sometimes, like him just like screaming, going crazy. That's how I feel when I'm overwhelmed, boys. I gotta recommend you watch Neon Genesis, but watch it when you're in a good place. Try to take away the good stuff from it. Because the first time I watched it, I don't know what happened. It like stole happiness from me. I don't even know how to explain it, but looking back, I actually love the show. So Hunter x Hunter is the reason why you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, in my opinion, because when my little brother asked me to start watching it and I watched the first couple episodes, I was like, dude, you're out of your mind. This stuff stinks. I don't care about this. This is terrible. And then months later, maybe even a year later, we sat back down, we threw it on, started it back up, and oh my god, it was delicious. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. I really like Hunter x Hunter. It was a lot of fun. The arcs are so vastly different feeling to me that it just keeps it alive, and there's so much dynamic storytelling going on constantly that it's a lot of fun. And I love a good, class system / magic system. I mean, they have Nen in Hunter x Hunter, and it was really cool. And shout out my brother for making me actually watch Hunter x Hunter all the way through. I have a funny story with Hunter x Hunter. After I finished watching it, I was working at a movie theater. And one of my friends at the movie theater, he was like a coworker friend. Coworker friends, not like really like hang out outside of work friends. But he was talking about Hunter x Hunter, and he was describing Hisoka to one of our managers. And Hisoka is a freaking weirdo. Something in anime that you don't really talk about to normal people. You kind of keep that to yourself. But he was in detail describing the kind of character that Hikosa was, which is kind of a pedophile. So that was wild. Pro tip: if you're trying to convince someone the merits of a show, don't start with something like that. Start with the more culturally acceptable aspects. But Hisoka is an interesting character. He's fun. The show is good, but I just don't know if I would be spouting off Hisoka's relationship to some of our characters, because he's a weirdo. Don't start with that. I'm gonna get some hate for this hot take, I guess, but I really don't like Demon Slayer that much. I think it's a good show. I'm in the middle of the entertainment arc right now. I probably could finish it and should finish it. People, when it was coming out, were acting like it was the best anime ever, and what I saw when I watched the first couple episodes of Demon Slayer was a show that took a lot of aspects from other shows that I've watched and enjoyed and just combined them and did them worse. Now, that doesn't mean that it sucks and is terrible. It's combining all these aspects of different shows that I like. It's just every single time that it took something from another show, I was like, oh, well, I like it better in that show, which is frustrating. But as soon as the real demons start popping up, I believe it's around like episode 6, it gets better. With the introduction of Inosuke and Zenitsu, it does get better, especially Inosuke. That dude's funny. And maybe just because he's Aaron's voice actor in Attack on Titan and Caesar Zeppelin's voice actor from Jojo, I really like him, but he does good, and the show gets a lot more interesting with them. And I like the world that's being built. It's just not my favorite show. Of course, the animation is peak. Everyone loves the animation, and they should. It's really good. It's just a show that is right in the middle of the road for me, and that's okay. It's okay to not love a show. Now, these next 2 shows that I watched back to back, and they have so many similarities in my mind that it's kind of crazy. But we're going to start with Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, this show, one of the fun things about it was, like, I definitely watched it in the wrong order. There's kind of a prequel movie that comes out, and then there's a prequel arc that happens in the 2nd season. That is crazy. It, like, threw my brain off. I was so confused. What was I doing wrong? I had to, like, Google it, figure it out. And it made for a very interesting watching experience. I kind of liked that I didn't watch it in the correct order. Again, it starts off not really pulling me in too much. The instant connection between Naruto with the Nine-Tailed Fox and then Sukuna and Yuji really struck me very early on. But like Demon Slayer, I did notice a whole bunch of combinations of different shows that I already liked. I just think for whatever reason, Demon Slayer felt like it wasn't doing them justice, where Jujutsu Kaisen felt really fun the entire time, and I really liked what was going on. Also, I feel like, obviously not on the same level, but Berserk has the eclipse at the end of the show in the 1997 anime, and then the end of the 2nd season of Jujutsu Kaisen kind of feels like that. Like, everything goes to shit. It is insane, the ending of the 2nd season, and I'm so ready to see more. One thing I do hate, though, is people on internet spoiled the hell out of it. Like, literally, the second after I watched the last episode of the 2nd season, all my Instagram reels are just spoilers. Like, a huge thing in the show has already been spoiled for me, and I hate it. I hate you if you spoiled it. But I'm so excited for the show. I'm so happy that I have a show that's not fully finished to look forward to. And now the show that I was saying it's similar to that I watched at the same time, Chainsaw Man. Now, of course, this show is a lot more comedic, takes itself less seriously, but just like the world building system at play and the objective going on with hunting down devils or hunting down curses, clearly the stories are very different, the tone is very different, but the world itself and what's going on feels very similar, and I really like that I found 2 shows that are similar but have totally different feels at the same time. So it's another show that I'm like right in the middle of, don't know how it's gonna end. I'm excited to look forward to the ending of a show instead of just being able to binge it and finish it right away. Out of the 2, I think I like Jujutsu Kaisen better, but Chainsaw Man is still, you know, a fun watch. It's a romp and a gaff and a goof and a fun time. My most recent anime watch is Vinland Saga, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a weird opinion about this show. I know a lot of people that really liked the first season for its action, for what was going on, and then thought that the 2nd season kind of fell off because it was slower paced, less action, and of course, not about a cool story of revenge, but instead a story of finding inner peace and kindness. Now, my opinion is the first season is okay. An action Viking show I've seen a million times. It's been very popular in the last couple of years, maybe the last couple of decades, so I've seen a lot of it. And also, revenge stories are probably the most popular in all of media. And you see it all the time, and some of them are amazing, some of them are terrible. I've just seen a lot of revenge before. Where Vinland Saga was different to me was the conclusion that it comes to during the second season, during the slave arc, and some of the representation of Thorfinn's guilt is just so good, and I really, really like it. And it's one of the only shows that really made me think, and probably when I said I watched Neon Genesis for the first time, I felt like it stole like 5 charisma from me. When I watched the second season of Vinland Saga, it really gave me a positive perspective and made me want to be a kinder person, and I love that. If there's one anime or manga that I want to make videos on in the future, I'll probably make a couple Vinland Saga videos. Honestly, all these anime are fair game, but I've been wanting to make a Vinland Saga video for a while. I just want to get around to reading the manga instead of just going off of the show that I watched most recently, but it was still a couple months ago, so I feel like I don't have a great handle on the show, and I wouldn't make a great video right now if I wanted to.
There you have it. That is all the anime that I have seen so far. I did leave out maybe 3 because I didn't feel like I had enough to say about them. Please leave in the comments your anime journey and where you think I'm absolutely wrong and stupid for my opinion. Maybe you really like Demon Slayer and I'm dummy dum-dum. Oh, but before I go, I do have to say my last video did really good. Got over 10,000 views as of right now, which is insane, more than I deserve, and I am eternally grateful to anyone that supported me and left a nice comment or even a critical comment, because you know what, I do gotta get better. For all my JoJo fans out there, au revoir, Iggy. Deuces.